Daughter's perspective. My daughter doesn't want me in her life due to our political differences. I'm Alicia. My dad is a Republican Trump supporter and I am progressive. This was pre-2020, he came out as an anti-jabs during it. His girlfriend Janice is horrible. On the outside she seems sorta okay, but she's all about manipulation and control. If you aren't wholly grateful for every little thing she does, she employs guilt trips. She's definitely the respect your elders type. We used to all have family dinners at their house once or twice a month. The atmosphere had been strained for a while because Dad and Janice didn't want Mary and I to comment about politics. They were allowed to say anything they wanted, but we weren't allowed to respond. We were told it was disrespectful to disagree with them in their own home. I thought it was very hypocritical and it angered me. When I lived with them I never really stated my opinions much out loud because I wanted to keep the peace. Because I had to live there. As I got older and moved out I stopped being quiet about it and I think it shocked them. I was tired of listening to prejudiced misogynistic nonsense and not saying anything about it. I was civil about it, I didn't name call or make it personal. Them on the other hand is a different story. Apparently I'm a liberal extremist according to my dad, who said that to my face. Because I believe in civil rights and equal rights for everyone. That day at Christmas my sister and I were talking about climate change amongst ourselves and they butted into the conversation and it exploded from there. We weren't talking to them at all, and they started being passive-aggressive and accusing us of thinking they were stupid, which neither of us said. My sister had apparently had enough of it all and walked out. She was never invited over again. I continued to visit, but I too was eventually told I wasn't going to be invited again. The topic on TV in the cafe was about another police brutality case. My dad commented about how we should be allowed to keep guns. The other boomer white man at the table next to us heard him and agreed. I didn't care, I wouldn't have started it, but I was sick of him getting in his little comments and thinking I wouldn't say anything back because we agreed not to talk about things like that. After my dad's initial snide comment and I started listing statistics, my dad told me to stop talking. I said, why? I'm not ashamed of anything I'm saying. Neither of us were being loud, by the way, it was a private conversation at a normal speaking volume. At that point the other man sitting with his wife said loudly, well, I'd like her to shut up. And started saying things about how what I was saying was stupid. I sat there in shock, and just as I was about to collect myself and tell him to F off, my dad turned around to him and said, you know what, sir, I agree with you, which put me into shock again. I literally could not believe that just happened. My dad then stood up, muttered happy birthday at me, and walked out. The man continued to spout angry nonsense in my direction while his wife tried to calm him down, and I tried to think about how fast I could get to the police station next door if he tried something. I sat there for a few minutes in shock and his wife came over to me and started apologizing profusely. I eventually left too and tried not to cry on my way home. Ever since I started speaking up about my opinions, my dad has been very patronizing and condescending. It's funny though, because even then at first when we'd debate something we would be civil and I could get him to listen to me. I even got him to indirectly admit that he's pro-choice once during a conversation. He doesn't identify as that, but when we spoke logically and reasonably about it he admitted that at least in some situations termination should be allowed. He and Janice live very much in their own little fantasy land and don't like being reminded that it isn't real. They've stopped going to family events partly because of this and partly because of Janice's medical condition.